What's going on, guys? Car Review Guys here. My name is AJ, and this week we have the 2024 Subaru Solterra. Trim level on this one is the Touring. 3 trim levels available, and we are going to be doing the full review here. Next video is going to be 5 things to love, 5 things to improve. If you're new to my channel, we are going to start with the cinematic, then we're going to go to the exterior, which is going to be some of your stats, figures, all the things I feel like you guys would want to know. Then we're going to jump to the interior, and then we're going to take it on a drive. So if there's something specific, feel free to skip ahead if you need to. And yeah, over 20,000 subscribers now. Thank each and every one of you as we continue to grow. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's roll. Starting with some of the stats and figures on this 2024 Solterra Touring. This has a 2 electric motor setup pushing a combined 215 horsepower. Transmission is a single speed auto, all-wheel drive drivetrain, and the curb weight's going to be coming around on this trim level at 4,486 pounds, and it's going to be pushing the 0 to 60 at around 6 seconds to 6.4. Your MPGE is 111 city, 93 highway, and 102 combined average. And then your charge time is actually pretty impressive, 10 to 80% in as little as 35 minutes with a DC fast charger. Now, vehicle dimensions, your overall length is around 15.4 feet. Width, you're looking at 6.08 feet, and your total height is 5.4 feet, and that is including the 8.3 inches of ground clearance. Pricing starts around $44,995 for the base, and it is called the Premium. The Limited is the middle trim model, and our tester today is $54,558, including the destination charge. Let's do a quick exterior walk around for some of the things you may or may not have seen. So let's take a look. Now, LED headlamps, LED runners, and you do have 8.3 inches of ground clearance, which is best in the class. So definitely something you could take off-road. You do have parking sensors, and you also have, if we come right here, you can see the camera, 360 panoramic view on the interior for the cameras, which is a nice little feature. You have some pretty nice looking wheels, and I do like the color of them. They're a 235/50/20. Charge port door is right here on the driver's side. You can see this one has the 2-tone exterior. Something that doesn't show up well on camera is just how much flake is in this paint. Pretty impressive, and I can definitely see why there is an upcharge for the paint. There's keyless entry on the front and also on the rear door. Pleasant surprise, didn't expect that from Subaru. Pretty nice. Now, me personally, I mean, you guys know I don't love black trim on any scenario, really, and this one is probably no exception. I, again, understand the purpose, don't necessarily love that. Everything else on the vehicle, though, looks pretty good. Continuing on around, you can see the badging, symmetrical all-wheel drive. Subaru's always been known for that. Really good system. And then as you can see, touring, and of course they have to have the EV badge. To pop the rear, you simply just go right underneath, press, and it is a power lift gate, so up it goes. And you definitely have a good amount of space back here. For the actual number of cubic feet, I will put it here on the screen for you. All right, time to test getting in the rear. I'm 5'9" if you are new to my channel. First thing I notice is the door doesn't go very wide. So if you need like a nice wide door, maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll bother you, I'm not sure. But it's still definitely good enough. It's just if you have some kind of issue. Now, getting inside here, let's see. Well, you can see I'm 5'9", and if I raise this up, you definitely have to duck a good bit. And then once you are in here, there's actually a lot more room than what I thought. I thought that just on the entrance it was going to be worse. So I've got probably 1.5 inches up there, somewhere in there. This is where my seat sits, and I've got, I don't know, 7.5 inches of legroom. So plenty of legroom there. Up here in front of us, we've got heated seats, USB-Cs, and the vents as well. So you can stay nice and cool or toasty in the rear. And then you have seat back pockets on both seats. And then you have a armrest with 2 cup holders, and it is nice and soft. And I do really like the feel. It is very, very soft. Up above us, we have a fixed glass roof, and we can retract that, but it would be really bright and terrible for lighting. So for the purpose of this, you can see there is a middle bar there, but it is a nice little touch to have back here. And then just taking a look at the materials on the door, nice and soft for all of that section. Up here, kind of like a rubberized feel, not too bad. Piano black. I know how you guys feel about it. I know you guys don't love it because of fingerprints and scratches and all that stuff. It does look nice, but I understand your guys' point as well. Nonetheless, window switch here. You've got nice little bezel, makes it feel a little bit more premium. That's going to wrap up the interior for the rear. Now we need to test the front. Stepping into the front, it is a little bit of a step again because it's 8.3 inches of ground clearance, but it's not bad. Now, once I'm in here, definitely plenty of headroom. Hopefully you can see that. And then as far as the door, it is a little wider than the rear, so it's not too bad of a reach, but it's a good happy medium, if you will. Now, door materials are almost identical to the rear, which is nice because a lot of companies just cheap out on the rear doors and they make the front ones nice. They didn't. It's pretty much the exact same materials, which is good. You have memory seating right there, and then you have all of your different mirror controls. And again, the switches feel a little bit more premium, having the little bezels. You have your rear lift gate, and then you can select that for auto high beams. One of the first things that I noticed is definitely the steering wheel. Honestly, it reminds me of my C8 Corvette that I had, and it is square, and it actually feels pretty cool. It's just not something I ever expected in any Subaru, and if it was, it would have been a BRZ or a WRX would have been my guess, not an EV. So definitely a nice little touch. As far as the buttons go, maybe that looks familiar to you, and maybe this screen, digital screen, looks familiar to you as well, because this is obviously kind of like a co-developed with Toyota type deal kind of. So you can see this is the exact same stuff out of the Prius, which is interesting, and some of you may or may not have known that. But yeah, it's kind of neat. Same thing with up here on the screen. You can tell this is a Toyota setup. This is not Subaru. Any new Toyota, Lexus, anything is going to have this exact same setup here. And then you've got heated seats, cooled seats, and then you also have a heated steering wheel. Your push start stop button is right there. And then moving on down, you can see the shifter. Now this one actually took me a minute, right? I review cars all the time. I have never seen this before. So foot on the brake, you push down on the outer edge, and then you twist it. And that's how you get it to where you want it to go. Push it down, go into reverse, touching on the cameras, nice and clear, panoramic on the left, and then obviously massive on the right for just the rear view. Just a little bit right of that, you do have your different drive modes. You can hit the camera button, and of course X mode, which I will say is kind of famous for Subaru. Down here you have a wireless phone charger and a USB-A port. Down below there is a cubby hole down there. You have a USB-C and another charger as well. 2 cup holders, and if you open the center console, probably about the size of like 1 tissue box is my guess. Up above us, you're going to notice a digital rear view mirror. You can flip it down if you want it to be regular. If you're not familiar with it, definitely a cool little feature, so that way heads in the back won't be disrupting you. I think that's pretty much going to wrap up the interior. I think it's time we take it on a drive. If there's anything I'm missing or anything specifically you want to know, if you're watching this within the week that I have the vehicle, please comment down below. Even if I don't know it and I don't have the vehicle anymore, I'll reach out to my Subaru rep, try to get you an answer. So without further ado, let's get it on the road. I already kind of mentioned this, but the first thing that I really noticed driving this is the steering wheel. Like, the fact that it's literally like my C8 Corvette is pretty wild, or I should say previous C8 Corvette. I've sold it and since then went back to an NSX. Nonetheless, the steering wheel really reminds me of that. So it feels really sporty, and it's such a weird sensation in an EV to have something like that. I like it. One of the first things that I generally talk about is road noise, wind noise, any of the noises, right? In an EV, it's always incredibly hard to get a vehicle so quiet because you don't have engine noise or anything else to kind of help drown out some of the other things. An EV, obviously, is just silent. So, with that said, this thing is really quiet. The only thing that I can remotely hear is tires, just a little bit. Obviously, no engine noise. Wind noise, you can't hardly even, I mean, you can hear cars going by you, but it's so faint, it's so good. I'm impressed. Touching on blind spots, checking over to our left, pretty easy to see out of this vehicle, pretty standard pillar. Checking over to our right, again, pretty easy to see, don't have really any issues there. If you do, it is equipped with blind spot monitoring. For me personally, this is the nicest Subaru I've ever driven. That's no knock on Subaru, it's more of a compliment. Like, this is really a genuinely nice vehicle. Furthermore, I would say value for the money, this is probably the best priced, best driving EV on the market right now. Honestly, with all the features you get, it's definitely up there for EVs for the money. Now, I mentioned we're going to touch on suspension and noise a little bit more. Every vehicle I do every week is over a cattle guard. If you don't know what that is, just look it up and you will understand. Here we go. Suspension actually a little bit more on the firmer side, a little more sporty. You kind of see my head kind of bucked just a little bit. I would say that's about average. As far as noise goes, again, every vehicle you are going to hear going over that. There's nothing, even six-figure category, that I've gone over that and not heard it. So definitely good. I would measure that as probably top 30% of all vehicles I've driven over that. So that's definitely a compliment to Subaru on that as well. The other question I always get asked is passing power in an EV. So we are now doing basically 45 miles an hour. And while doing 45, let's say you needed to pass somebody, let's just put it to the floor. And I don't exaggerate, that was very quickly, 55 miles an hour. Definitely good passing power. Again, 0 to 60 is right around the 6 to 6.5 second. Not bad. And it's still an EV, right? So even though it's 6 to 6.5, it's that instant torque that you can feel. It's definitely a unique feeling. If you've never driven an EV, once you do, or even ride passenger in one, you'll definitely understand the difference as far as that goes. We can have the debate whether pro EV or con EV. For me, I'm kind of in the middle as far as that goes right now, as far as my stance, just because, again, there's pros and there's cons. Right now, our infrastructure is probably not set up that great for EVs. Are there some pros? Yes, you have less maintenance on an EV. They are instant torque, right? You cannot get that out of any combination of internal combustion motors. So there's pros and cons, so we'll leave it at that. Taking this turn at, let's say, 25 miles an hour and go. And then accelerating through it. Again, instant torque. Wow. That's pretty good. That's pretty fun. It's the all-wheel drive system is next to none. That's one thing I've always given Subaru such good credit for. There's different all-wheel drives. Many of you maybe didn't know that. Some are front wheel bias, some are rear wheel bias, some you can even change with computers now. This is a symmetrical all-wheel drive, so it genuinely is just, it's one of the best, if not the best out there in the market. So truly, if you're looking for a vehicle that can probably go off-road, in the snow, crazy weather, this is definitely a good option, especially if you're looking at EV-only vehicles. I love having all of the other features as well. Adaptive cruise control works really well. It's nice and smooth and even. Lane centering also does really well. And in this 2024, you have the updated, as Subaru calls it, eyesight or something to that effect. It's lane centering. It also has active lane changing, which basically you put your blinker on and then it's looking and then it'll basically change the lane for you essentially. Honestly, I don't really use that feature. I pretty much put my blinker on, check my blind spot, and then I basically just get over. Nonetheless, it does have all of those features when driving, and it is nice. And having the creature comforts, right? Heated steering wheel, heated seats, cooled seats, like having all of that stuff is super nice. Digital rear view mirror, home link, all of that adds up into making this what I'm saying is best bang for your buck. Is it a cheap vehicle? No, it's not. And it doesn't feel cheap driving it either. So I definitely think, again, Subaru did really well with the pricing and they're definitely delivering. The only thing that I would have changed on the interior for me is the dash area. It's almost like a cloth type stuff. I'm not sure what they did there. That's kind of interesting. I feel like dust would kind of get stuck on it and then you got to kind of vacuum it. And I don't know. I would have rather seen another material there. Nonetheless, everything else on this thing, really, really good. Now, testing a turn here, accelerating straight out of it. I mean, it's good. It's good. It's actually, you can have fun with it. So that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video. It is definitely not slow. It's not fast, but it's not slow. And you can definitely have some fun. The suspension is tuned really nicely. It's not too soft. It's not too stiff. You can still take turns pretty aggressively. Even with 8.3 inches of ground clearance, I would expect a little more body roll, and I'm really not getting it. So pretty impressive as far as the handling goes. And again, it does feel nice, especially for the price. If there's anything you guys want to know, I try to respond to every single person. Just comment down below. And the next video, 5 things to love, 5 things to improve. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.